me, Kristi, Toliver, and Derek Fisher. Today, sorry about that last minute switch. We'll start with Canelo.
Hey, Kristi, how are you today?
Good.
Right on. How prepared do you feel going into?
Kristi, there?
Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Oh yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. How prepared do you feel going into tomorrow night's game? And how do you think there's this kind of like feeling of we're going to surprise some people to see how good we really are? Is there that kind of motivation?
I think one, yes, we're prepared and excited. I think whenever you're entering a new season, you're going to play off of your enthusiasm. You're going to play off of the momentum and the excitement of starting a new year, and that's where we're at. I think we're extremely versatile. Players can play multiple positions. We can stretch the floor. We can get up and down. And it's a marathon. This is not a sprint. So, one game isn't going to dictate anything for us. It's just a matter of having the right mindset every day and the right approach every day, and putting our best foot forward. And I think, we're just excited for the season to begin and to start a new chapter.
Brady Crawford.
Kristi, a lot of players have talked this camp about how this has been one of the most fun training camps of their careers. Can you just talk about what the experience has been like for you the last few weeks, the vibe of the team, and just personally how much you've enjoyed it?
Yeah, I'm glad my teammates are having fun. That's what basketball is. It should be fun. Whether it's training camp, practice, games. We get paid to do something that we love for a living. So to be in the gym every single day, we're not going to have a bad day. Everybody's pushed one another throughout the course of this training camp. We've gotten better. We're building that team chemistry and that camaraderie. When you enjoy what you do, you have fun. And that's what we've been doing. Everybody's just been building and lifting one another up. And that's what it's all about as far as, to get where we want to be. That's what it's going to take. And so, it's been a fun camp. It's been nice to be, to get out and compete and get better and learn one another. And that's what this process has been so far.
Miriam Swanson, LA Daily News.
Hey, Kristi. Wanted to ask you a 25-year anniversary question about the league. You probably were 9-ish when it debuted, and obviously you've gone on and won 2 of the 24 titles there's ever been. Do you ever reflect on sort of what this means in the broad scope of American culture and sports landscape and just big picture?
Sure. To be a part of history after, watching it, as a 9-year-old, it's cool. It's special. It helps me keep things in perspective. Just knowing now that kids are being born while there's, currently, women's professional basketball going on in the States, it's big. It's huge. It's something that, I wasn't offered as a newborn. That's why, the NBA was so critical for me because that's what was available up until, obviously, I was 9 years old. But now that, we're able to play and contribute and continue to grow the game, it's a very special feeling to be a part of that history.
Sabrina Merchant at SB Nation.
Hey, Kristi. You are obviously part of a very special Sparks-Lynx rivalry the last time you were here, and you guys are opening the season against the Aces. Chelsea's there now. There's this geographical proximity. Do you think there's a potential for Sparks-Aces to grow into a pretty cool WNBA rivalry?
Well, first we got to take care of Dallas, and then yes, we will get after Vegas, and I think I can totally see how that can be aligned as far as the rivalry that we had with Minnesota. It's one of the WNBA's best in its history, and so LA, we love to be a part of history, and I know that whether it's with Vegas or whatever other top tier team in the league, we're going to battle, and I love being a part of history and a part of rivalries, and those games are just the most fun. And we just have to have things play out. You can't really predict the future.
For two more, we'll go to Rashawn Haylock with Spectrum Sportsnet.
Hey, Kristi.
Hi.
What's the eve of a season opener like for you as you sit here today, especially, considering you missing last season, but, just all you've accomplished in your career to this point?
Yeah, it's always exciting to begin a new season, especially for me, not playing last year, being back in LA again, I'm excited. I never take, being on the floor for granted, being out there with teammates and enjoying the game and playing the game as hard as I can. I don't take any moment for granted. So we're just really looking forward to it, looking forward to the challenge, looking forward to, continuing to grow as a team and get ourselves moving in the right direction. And that's what always excites me. So certainly after a year off or away, I should say, I'm excited. I'm there's some nerves, there's some jitters. It's been a year and a half since I played, 5-on-5. So I'm pumped. There's definitely excitement, there's definitely nerves, but definitely ready to go.
Last question for Kristi. We'll go to Ross Golden-Bude with Spectrum Sportsnet.
Hey, Kristi, what's up?
What up, Ross?
What's up? This is a team that has a lot of just kind of new faces. Just getting to know each other as opposed to maybe compared to other ones. So I was wondering, now that you've had this quick training camp, you step into the first game of the season, how does the chemistry feel, and are you still trying to make up for that a little bit?
Sorry, make up for what?
How does the chemistry and the connection feel? And are there any points where you're trying to make up for that a little bit?
Obviously we are getting to know one another and build that camaraderie. It takes time. Most teams, it takes several years to have that championship camaraderie and connection. With this group, even in a short time, we're on the same page, and that's really critical to the future of this franchise, as far as knowing and being willing to do whatever is asked. And with this group, we're unselfish. We're willing to do the little things. We're communicating with one another. There's a high level of respect for one another on this team, and those things are obviously critical to success. So, there are obviously things are going to take time. But the fact that we're on the same page and have the same vision in a short amount of time is obviously good for us and good for our success in the future. But things will come, and I think specifically when you're unselfish and you communicate, you can pick up things at a rapid pace. So that's where we're at. And looking forward to continuing to build in all those aspects.
5 questions for General Manager and Head Coach Derek Fisher. We'll start with Brady Crawford with SB Nation.
Derek.
What's up, Brady?
I'm wondering, after a few weeks of camp here, you obviously go into a training camp with some expectations for your team and exit it with a different team than maybe you were expecting to have. Is there anything that you've seen from your players and from this team that is maybe different than you thought, something that maybe they're better at or less prepared at than you expected?
I think we, our connection feels a little stronger than what I thought it would be with a new group. We especially in training camp, when you're up to 14, 15 players, there are a lot of players that weren't on your team a year ago. And so, kind of starting with building chemistry and camaraderie and connection as a group, we assumed that some of those things would take a little more time, but, to many of our players' credit, they genuinely have competed against each other and pushed each other really hard, but also built some connection and and some trust that I think will, be able to go a long way for us when, when things start to get harder and, we have to start facing opponents every few nights. So that's a pleasant surprise. I think, it'll still take us, it'll still take us some time to get where we want to get offensively. I do just in terms of timing and, screening and understanding spacing, and especially because we have players that are going to play multiple, spots and positions on the floor. Everybody feeling comfortable, with the responsibilities that come with that. So, we may lag a little bit in how efficient we ultimately will be to start. So we're going to have to really rely on our defense, to get us going here these first few weeks.
Over to maybe win with the LA Times.
Hey coach, yesterday obviously was the deadline day. What decisions did you come up with in terms of your roster?
Yeah, no, we actually have 2 hours until the deadline today at 5 p.m. Eastern time. So we did make some decisions last night, but we practiced with we had 13 players in the gym today, and as soon as I finish with you, we'll have a couple conversations as a staff and make some final decisions about which 12 are gonna make the most sense for us. And we obviously still have to figure out where Maria Vadiva fits into that 12, or what our decision will be there. So still some things to kind of figure out over the next 90 minutes to 2 hours, but we'll get there in time.
Ross Gold, with Spectrum Sportsnet.
Hey, Coach.
Hey, Ross.
Hey, Coach. Specifically coming into the matchup, what are you having the team focus on, keys-wise?
Say the first part again, right? I want to make sure I heard the first coming into
tomorrow's matchup.
Okay.
What are the
I think Dallas. First, let me start with how happy I am for Vicki Johnson. She's a pioneer in this league and deserves this opportunity to be a head coach and be a leader, and who she is as a woman, her character, her integrity, how much she's invested in the game of basketball and the WNBA as a player and now as a coach. This league wouldn't be here 25 years without people like Vicki. So really excited for her, and just looking forward to having the opportunity to compete with and against her teams. I think Dallas is a really talented team, so going into tomorrow's matchup, we'll see, some of their players I think are late arriving from international competitions and other things, so it may not be their full group, but one thing I think with a Vicki Johnson coach team, they're going to play hard, they're going to compete, they're going to be hard-nosed, so they're going to really try to get after us on the defensive end, and create some havoc, and get there. They have a really young team that can be fast in transition, and it's going to be hard for us to get ourselves back and matched up, if we aren't careful. So the first thing we want to do is, really force Dallas to have to, beat us, defensively in terms of getting our defense back and set. If we can take away some transition opportunities for them, we're better off. And then I think for us offensively, their shell defense is pretty tight, and we're going to have to find a way to break through that and make sure we're still being aggressive and assertive to get into the paint, even though, Charlie Collier is back there waiting for you. We still have to be aggressive to get to the paint, get to the free throw line, and score some points where we can get our defense set. So those are two things that stand out. And then, with it being the first night, we'll kind of see how things go from there. But, I just want us to start going out and learning how to have fun together and, play the game the right way. So hopefully you'll see a lot of passing, a lot of assists, a lot of players picking each other up, lifting each other up, and we'll start focusing in on the results and the percentages and all of those things as time goes on.
We'll go over to Jack Maloney with CBS Sports.
Yeah, hey coach.
Hi, Jack.
Obviously you're not on the court these days, but with the new basketball coming in, I'm just curious, from your perspective, how can that affect play in any way, or just with players having to adjust to something like that?
Yeah, I think when the basketball isn't as well received, I think that adjustment period can be difficult. Back in, I think prior to the 2006 season in the NBA, the league wanted to make a ball change, and just it wasn't well received by a good percentage of players at that time. So the original leather basketball ended up staying and remaining in place. I think in this case, from what I can gather, most players like the new ball and really feel comfortable with it. So I'm not sure if the adjustment will feel as great because they really do like the way it feels, in their hands, the way it comes off their hands when they shoot. It doesn't feel like, at least for our team and our group, we haven't heard a lot of comments or feedback about the new ball and certain things they don't like, and it's still taking time. But we'll see if somebody doesn't start off the season playing well, then maybe they'll blame it on the ball, but we'll see.
Sabrina Merchant, SB Nation.
Hey there. Have you seen the poster for NECA's Space Jam character yet?
I have not.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask what you thought of the Iraq NECA nickname, but I guess we'll have to wait on that for another day.
Yeah. Give me a chance to check it out, and then I probably still won't have very much to say, but other than it, I'm sure it looks great.
You kind of touched on this earlier, but we always talk about how difficult it is to make these roster decisions the day before the first game. How hard is it to prepare for a team when they have to also make all of these decisions the day before the first game?
Yeah, no, it's I think a really good question, because for us, like the way we approach a lot of what we do on a daily basis is to help our team understand and our players that a lot of what's vital about playing good basketball is not really related to your opponent. It really is about certain defensive and offensive principles and priorities and fundamentals that if you can develop and master those things, the opponent may change every night, but you still will give yourself a really great chance to be successful. So yes, it is difficult, for us in a situation where you're getting down to your final roster the day before your first game. I'm sure it's difficult for Dallas as well. But I think it's why as coaches we really try and get our players to focus on some of the most basic things that don't change with the opponent. If you're a great shot contesting team, if you're a good, defensive team, if you are good at executing, screening, passing, shooting, etc., like almost regardless of opponent, like you'll be able to find a way to figure it out over the course of a 40-minute game. So early in the season in particular, that's what we really will try to hang our hat on, is really staying focused on our fundamentals and our basics as we get started.
Just a couple more. Appreciate the great attendance today. Go to Tariqa Foster-Brasby with ESPN.
Hey Coach, how you doing?
Good, Tariqa, how are you?
Awesome. So I know that this is going to be the first season without the face that has been associated with this franchise for a very long time in Candace Parker. Is there any sort of pressure, or how the LA market can be when it comes to expectation? Is there any sort of pressure that you feel, or that you think anyone on the team may feel, with going into this season without Candace? What the post Candace Sparks life would be like?
Yeah, I mean, I think like good pressure, I think that as a competitor and to get into this position to play and work at the highest levels. Like, I don't know if anybody or anything from an external standpoint has as much of an impact on you as like how motivated you are yourself, right? Like how much you expect from you. That's what really drives most of us, is like we have really, really high expectations for ourselves, and it's hard for other people even to meet them. So I think for us, as we start this new season and this new direction and building around new players, like we're embracing the fact that we expect a lot from ourselves. We're embracing the opportunity to start new and build something great, and not be held to the standard of old, not be held to what the Sparks used to be, but get ourselves and other people excited about who the Sparks are now and where the Sparks are going. So we really are excited about what that, like you said, pressure and expectations that, come from being in a market where people expect you to win. And that's not new to, many of us, and we're gonna embrace that. We're excited to have our fans, hopefully back with us soon, and we're looking forward to that. To Rick, honestly, like we know that many people will be looking and watching and wondering how things are going to go, and we'll focus on the things that we can control and let those things take care of themselves.
Kurt Sandoval at ABC7. Hey, Fish, first of all, you look fit, brother.
Thanks, Kurt. Appreciate it, man.
So, 25 years ago when the WNBA announced, I'm not sure, there were some people who weren't sure that it would make it 25 years. You've been such an ambassador for women's sports, and particularly the WNBA. I was wondering if you could share a little bit of your heart and soul, where that came from.
I have to give my family and my parents a lot of credit. Like, growing up, we didn't diminish or view women's basketball as lesser than or not equal to the men's game. Like, as a family, we always viewed basketball as the game of basketball, regardless of who's playing it. So, as a kid, like our TV would be on, and we'd watch Louisiana Tech, in the early 80s. We'd watch Old Dominion. We watched as, Pat Summitt developed Tennessee program into what it became in the 90s. And we watched the game, and I learned at a young age to appreciate, especially for a guy that's, I'm still not 6'7". So I wasn't 6'7" when I was 10, and I'm not now. So I always have held a great appreciation for players that play the game below the rim, that aren't relying only on athleticism and size to make something happen, that you really do have to think through the right way to do something, that when you shoot the ball, your mechanics, your angles, your spacing, everything has to line up to be successful in a lot of ways. So now, working in the women's game, like after being a fan of it almost my whole life, but for sure the 25 years of the WNBA, I don't view this as a lesser product. Like, this is a great game. It's a great league. It's 140 plus great players. And we have to keep doing the work to find a way to increase that number. But we need people like yourselves to talk about it, report about it, show up, watch it, invest in it. We need people to cover it. We need sponsors, we need partners. Ultimately, we need more fans to come into the buildings, because these women deserve it. And, I'm just hopeful that I can play a small part in, helping this league continue to progress.
Thanks. The last one, Miriam Swanson, LA Daily News.
Hey, Coach. What are your options for Maria Bediva down the road? And then also, I don't know that you want to say who the final roster spots are between, but is this decision proving as hard or harder than you thought? And what about it is so difficult?
Yeah, I mean, the first part with Maria, you know, which we still have to talk through that a little bit with, you know, with Maria and her agent. You know, we either have the option to, you know, continue to have Maria on our active roster and she'd be on a partial, you know, suspension for the season. She'd return, you know, after the Olympic break, and you know, we go from there and finish the season. And you know, we have other options that we'll talk about with, like I said, with she and her agent about what this season looks like. I think the future for Maria is really bright. Like, she's an amazingly talented young post player. So it's for us, it's more of a question of how much of Maria will we, you know, be able to, you know, work with and grow with over time. We see her having a future here, but I think for all international players or players that play internationally, there's going to always be certain things to balance and try and maintain within your roster construction. And so, you know, hopefully we can meet that balance in a way that makes sense for the team and also is fair to Maria as well. In terms of the final roster, you know, again, I got to shorten my answer so I can, you know, get to some of the conversations we need to have with the appropriate people and, you know, get down to what that 12 will look like. And yeah, it's been a good challenge. It's weighing on me because I care about these women, and I care about their lives and their future and the opportunities that they have. But it's been, I think, appropriately difficult. It's supposed to be. You know, I think we were intentional about bringing the players that we brought to training camp to create the environment that would make it hard for us to make these decisions. And so every player that came here should be proud of the effort that she put in, the time she's put in. Everybody was in shape, ready to go, working hard, pushing each other, and that's all we can ask. So, you know, we'll break from here, make some decisions, have some conversations, and I think be able to acknowledge, you know, from a leadership position that you don't always get it right, you know. You know, we can always look back on decisions that have been made, you know, by teams, and in hindsight, you should have drafted this player, you should have traded this person, you should have kept this player, you should have, you know, all kind of things. But at the end of the day, you do the best you can under the circumstances, make the best decision you can, and you own it and move forward. And that's what we're going to do today. And you know, we'll try to keep that in mind as we move on.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, media.